think humans have an innate predisposition to love storytelling. As children, that's how we learn. I think for centuries, most people were storytellers. And there are a lot of oral cultures which still have traditions of storytelling. But for roughly the past century, we've moved away from that because of 20th century media technologies. So you think about radio, television, newspaper, print, movies. These all are great, powerful storytelling devices, but they're very capital intensive. So the average person in 1950 couldn't make a newspaper. The average person in 1980 couldn't make a movie. So we were de-skilled. We lost the storytelling ability. But new technologies make storytelling much more accessible, much easier. You think about storytelling with video. Video has become so much easier to use and to share. Right? And then other technologies. Think about audio for podcasting. You think about blogging, storytelling through Twitter. So I think our natural desire to tell stories has just bounced right back. Well, if you think about stories, whenever people invent a new communication technology, we think of a way of telling stories with it. So when we invented radio in the early 20th century, we came up with all kinds of ways to tell radio theater. You think about TV, and it rapidly came up with the telenovela, for example, as a method that makes sense for TV. So, as we come up with new media, I always look for storytelling. So with blogging, for example, a blog looks like a diary. Well, we know how to tell stories with diaries. There are a lot of novels that are based on diaries. So there are many examples of people telling blog-based diary stories. If you look at Twitter, that sounds harder, right? But you can do very, very short stories, either 140 characters, or you can break it up across a series of tweets. Now, a fun thing to do is for different people to take turns with the story and pass it around. Podcasting, for example, is it's radio. It's a new form of radio. So you can do all kinds of stories with that. And YouTube is social media, maybe the most popular social media platform there is. And obviously, it's video. We can tell all kinds of stories that way. Well, digital storytelling develops a whole series of skills. So first, there's obviously the technical skills, right? So I teach a workshop inspired by Story Center. It's a 3-day workshop. And we teach people how to make a 3-minute digital video. So we teach them very, very basic videography. We teach them how to use an easy editor. So we use iMovie or Windows Movie Maker. And we don't teach them a full tool. We teach them just enough to get it done. We teach them a little audio recording so they can record a voiceover. And we don't teach them how to edit it. We just basically record it and put it in. Technologies like that. And at the very end, we teach them either how to burn a DVD or how to put it up on YouTube. And it's 3 days, it's not a lot of time, but they can get something done. And so they have those technical skills. Well, if we're talking about one person creating, we see that they're developing their digital voice. So much like if you teach someone to sing, they develop their singing voice. But if you teach someone to make a video or to make a podcast, their unique style begins to come out. As much like when you learn writing, your own writing voice comes out. I mean, you're an editor, you know how this works, right? Yeah. So we get, with their digital voice comes out. And in a way, that's their brand. It's very funny. When I teach this, people hate doing the audio part because most people hate the sound of their voice. And there are a lot of reasons for that, and so when they record it, they're like, "Oh, I want to do it." No. It's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. But then they hate it. But then when I play it for somebody else, total silence because everyone's listening to it. Yeah. Because somebody else's voice is magical to us. It means so much. It's more than a thumbprint. It's so unique and individual. And so hearing that, that's a brand. Now, if you make a bunch of videos or whatever content you make, a bunch of digital stories. Then you think, okay, how am I going to organize this? So, do you make a YouTube channel, for example? Do you make a standalone website for it? You think, is there a pattern that emerges from these? I did a bunch of stories and I realized the pattern was books. I was doing stories about books. Oh, okay. So I can make a site, Bryan stories about books or whatever. So the branding can appear organically that way.